If you've ever spent a long time creating a multiple sheet workbook, you'll know what a pain it is to then have to go back and make changes to versions of those sheets. Looking at our sales data 2013 file, for example, we have a 12-sheet workbook here where every sheet is exactly the same structure. It just holds the data for a different month of the year. But then what happens when your line manager turns around and says, actually, you've missed out an item that we want to hold the sales for. And that item is helicopters. So I now need to add in a new column to all of these sheets that will allow us to enter helicopters. That column needs to be exactly the same place in each of the sheets, and the formulas need to be exactly the same in each of the sheets. Otherwise, the totals won't work for us. The last thing we want to do is to insert a column in January and then go and insert a column in February and then in March and then in April and then in May. We want to be able to do all 12 sheets in one go. Where you have a number of sheets, as we have here, that are exactly the same makeup and you want to make changes to all of them in one go, we can do that. We need to multiple select all the sheets. The easiest way to achieve that is by clicking on the first sheet and then holding down the Shift key and clicking on the last sheet. That will then select all of the sheets. Anything I do now happens in all of them. If I want to unselect, I right click and choose Ungroup the Sheets. If I want to select sheets that are not consecutive, maybe I want to do something in every quarter, then I click on the first and then Control click any others that I would need. So that way I've got 4 sheets. Anything I now do will happen to just those 4 sheets. Ungroup, but I want them all. So first sheet and then Shift click the last sheet. You can move between the sheets, but it will deselect the selection. There is a trick, however. If I add a new sheet here, put that at the beginning, just call it sample. If I then multiple select January to December, you'll find that they will stay selected and you can move between them. So you can actually be looking at a different sheet when you do the work, but it will still happen to all of them. That's quite useful for being able to check that what you've done has happened. That only works if you have one sheet in the whole workbook that is not part of your group. If you have all the sheets selected, as we did originally, when you click off the first one, it deselects the group, the same as right-clicking and ungrouping the sheets. So let's look at August and do the work in August. So I need a new column. So I come here between the last column and the total column and insert, and this is going to be helicopters. Return. Notice the formatting is copied from the left-hand one anyway. I also need the totals in place, so I'll replicate that formula across. And then add in a few sales for helicopters. Now the sales that I'm adding in will actually go into every sheet, and I can check that by perhaps clicking on April. And you can see I have the same sales for helicopters, but the sales for the others will have changed to that particular month. What I do need to do is make sure that the formulas have added in this new column, because they don't always. So let's go to the end here and have a look. Note, we can see it's missed off. So I need to extend that selection. I'm still selected, so this will do on all of them, and then replicate this formula downwards to West region. Notice the borders have all gone wrong. Undo. We'll undo it across all 12 sheets. Let's drag that down with the right mouse button. Because I've filled without the formatting, it's now copied just the formula down on all of the sheets, so we know they're all working. Check that one. It's adding across the whole row. Whilst I've got all the sheets selected, not only can I make insertions of rows and columns and formulas, I can do formatting. It may be that I don't like this blue background at the top, so let's change that to a purple background, and that too will affect every sheet. It's multiple selecting them, Control click for non-consecutive sheets, Shift click for a group, so you click the first one, Shift click the last one, and then you can make any changes you like. And it will happen to every sheet in the same place, be that a formula, be that a column insertion, be that a row insertion, be that a deletion. Perhaps we don't want to do speedboats anymore. Anything you want to do will happen to all of the sheets because they're now grouped together. I then click a sheet not part of the group to ungroup them, or as you saw earlier, we can right click and ungroup the sheets. Make sure that you do have the sheets ungrouped before going back in and making the separate changes to the helicopter sales. Otherwise, that will happen to all the sheets as well. So every month of the year, we'll have the same helicopter sales. If we go through separately, they won't. They'll all have different helicopter sales. So that's dealing with a multiple sheet workbook and being able to edit, insert, delete, manage the content of multiple sheets within that workbook.